He owned palaces, vineyards across Italy, enough wealth to rival emperors, and he spent every day writing about how none of it mattered. Seneca the Younger, the richest philosopher in history, a man who could buy anything, yet devoted his life to explaining why you should need nothing. The contradiction seems obvious. How can someone drowning in luxury preach about simplicity? How can a man with 300 tables made of citrus wood and ivory tell you that material possessions are worthless? His critics saw hypocrisy, a wealthy man playing at poverty, a courtier pretending to be a sage. But they missed the point entirely. Seneca wasn't preaching poverty. He was teaching something far more radical, that you can have everything and still be free. That wealth doesn't corrupt you unless you let it. That the real test isn't rejecting riches, it's possessing them without being possessed by them. Today, you're going to discover why Seneca might be the most relevant Stoic for our time. An age where wealth is everywhere, where comfort is expected, where the question isn't whether you should reject the world, but how you live in it without losing your soul. If you're here, you're not looking for simple answers. You're looking for wisdom that works in complexity. Subscribe if you're ready for this, because Seneca's life raises the hardest question philosophy can ask. Can you have everything and still be nothing? Let's find out. The philosopher in Nero's court. Picture Rome at its peak, 54 AD. Seneca is tutor to the young emperor Nero. He's one of the most powerful men in the world. Every word he speaks influences imperial policy. His writings circulate throughout the empire. He wakes in a mansion filled with art, eats from gold plates, commands servants, owns property across multiple provinces, and every morning he sits down to write letters about how external things have no value, how death could come today and you should be ready, how the wise man needs nothing beyond virtue. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Critics attacked him constantly. Aurelius, a rival, openly mocked him in the Senate. What philosophy teaches Seneca to acquire 300 million sesterces? What doctrine shows him how to become the wealthiest man in Rome while lecturing others about frugality? Valid question. Seneca never denied his wealth, never pretended he lived in poverty. His response was more nuanced, more honest, and ultimately more challenging than simple rejection of riches. He wrote, "I am not a wise man, nor will I ever be. I am making progress. Don't compare me to the ideal. Compare me to who I was yesterday." This is crucial. Seneca never claimed to be the perfect Stoic sage. He claimed to be a student, someone working on himself daily, failing often, trying again. His wealth? He acknowledged it openly. In his essay, On the Happy Life, he addresses critics directly. "You say my life contradicts my teaching. Perhaps. But I'm trying, and trying while rich is harder than trying while poor." Think about that. Rejecting wealth is easy when you don't have any. Choosing poverty when you're already poor costs nothing. The challenge is having wealth and maintaining perspective, having power and staying humble, having comfort and remembering hardship, having everything and remaining unattached. That's the test Seneca faced daily. Most people never face it. They spend their lives chasing wealth, imagining that if they just had enough, they'd be happy. They never get to test whether they could handle it with wisdom. Seneca did. He had the wealth most people dream of, and he used his position to explore the deepest question: does having everything corrupt you, or can you transcend it? His answer lived across decades. You can transcend it. You can own possessions without being owned by them. You can participate in the world without being consumed by it. The price? Constant vigilance, daily practice, hourly reminders that everything you have could vanish tomorrow. On the shortness of life. Seneca's most famous essay is also his most piercing, On the Shortness of Life. Written while surrounded by luxury, power, and endless distractions, it's a brutal examination of how people waste their time. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Most people, Seneca observed, treat time as if it's infinite. They postpone living. They give away hours to anyone who asks. They spend years on activities they don't value, serving people they don't respect, pursuing goals they don't actually want. And then, suddenly, they're old and they're shocked. Where did the time go? Seneca's answer: you gave it away, thoughtlessly, carelessly, to anyone who demanded it. He describes people who spend decades building careers they hate, only to realize at 60 that they never actually lived. People who climb social ladders to impress people they don't like. People who accumulate wealth they'll never use. You live as if you're going to live forever. You squander your years as if you have endless reserves. Meanwhile, that very day that you're giving to some person or some task might be your last. This hits differently when you realize Seneca wrote it while managing an empire, while advising an emperor, while handling responsibilities most people can't imagine. He's describing his own temptation, the pressure to say yes to everything, to attend every event, to handle every problem, to be available to everyone. And his response: ruthless prioritization. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. Seneca practiced voluntary poverty regularly, reminding himself that luxury was optional, that he could lose everything tomorrow and be fine. This wasn't performance. This was training. Like a soldier preparing for battle, he was preparing for loss, for exile, for death, all of which would eventually come. But the deeper practice was about time itself. Seneca divided people into categories: those who live for themselves and those who live for others. Most people, he argued, never live for themselves. They're always performing, always pleasing, always postponing their actual life for some imagined future when they'll finally be free to live as they choose. Everyone hurries their life on and suffers from a yearning for the future and a weariness of the present. The man who devotes himself to his own interests is the man who has least time to spare for others. This sounds selfish until you understand what he means. He's describing the person who knows what matters to them and protects it, who says no to trivial demands, who guards their time like the precious resource it is. Seneca could say no to emperors when needed, could retreat from court, could create space for reading, writing, thinking. He had wealth, yes. Power, yes. Yet he also had time. He produced thousands of pages of philosophy, dozens of essays and letters that survive today. How? He treated time as more valuable than money. He would spend money freely, but time, that was sacred. Hold every hour in your grasp. Lay hold of today's task, and you will find yourself depending less on tomorrow's. This is Seneca's challenge to you. Where is your time going? Who's taking it? What are you postponing? You might not have decades. You might have years, months. The question isn't how long you have. The question is, are you living now, or are you still preparing to live? On anger and enemies, Seneca wrote an entire book about anger. De ira, on anger. Why? He lived in Rome's imperial court, a place of constant intrigue, betrayal, manipulation. Everyone wanted something. Everyone schemed. Trust was rare. Enemies were everywhere. Seneca himself had been exiled once, falsely accused of adultery with Emperor Caligula's sister. Spent 8 years on Corsica, his property confiscated, his reputation destroyed. He had every reason to be angry, to hold grudges, to plot revenge. Instead, he wrote one of the most sophisticated analyses of anger ever produced. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Anger, Seneca observed, feels righteous. It convinces you that violence is justified, that rage is appropriate, that destruction is deserved, and in the moment, it's intoxicating. You feel powerful, alive, certain. Then it passes, and you see what you've destroyed, what you've said that can't be unsaid, what you've done that can't be undone. Seneca studied anger the way a doctor studies disease. He dissected it, examined its causes, traced its progression, identified its cures. His conclusion: anger is madness, temporary insanity, a fire that burns the person carrying it far more than the person it's aimed at. The best plan is to reject straight away the first incentives to anger, to resist even its small beginnings, and to take pains to avoid falling into anger. For if it begins to carry us away, the return to safety is difficult. He knew this from experience. He'd seen anger destroy brilliant people, capable people, people who let one moment of rage ruin years of reputation. In Nero's court, anger was everywhere. Slights, insults, competition, any of which could trigger a spiral of revenge and counter-revenge. Seneca survived by refusing to participate. When insulted, he paused. When attacked, he considered whether response served any purpose. When betrayed, he asked whether vengeance would improve anything. Usually the answer was no. The best cure for anger is to wait. Ask, will this matter tomorrow? Next week? Next year? If not, why waste energy on it now? This isn't passive acceptance of wrongdoing. Seneca dealt with genuine threats, removed dangerous people from positions of power, protected himself strategically. He simply refused to add fuel to fires that would burn themselves out, refused to create enemies unnecessarily, refused to let other people's dysfunction determine his emotional state. Why should I be angry at someone for having bad breath? The fault is in their nature. Would I be angry at a cloud for producing rain? People act according to their nature. The fool acts foolishly. The cruel person acts with cruelty. The ignorant person acts from ignorance. Getting angry at them is like getting angry at weather. It changes nothing. It just makes you wet and miserable while the storm continues. Seneca's practice: when someone wrongs you, pause. Ask what they're really after. Often, it's not about you at all. They're acting from pain, fear, or confusion. Their attack is their weakness, their wound. Responding with anger just creates two wounded people. Responding with clarity that sometimes opens possibility for resolution, or at least prevents escalation. The wise man is never provoked. He observes wrongs as a physician observes sickness, with professional interest and without personal upset. This took decades to develop. Seneca wasn't naturally calm. His letters reveal someone who struggled with frustration, impatience, anger at human foolishness. He worked on it, daily, through exile, through court politics, through watching talented people destroy themselves with rage. And eventually, he reached a place where insults landed like dust, where betrayals were just information, where enemies were problems to be managed rather than threats to be destroyed. That's mastery, taking decades to develop, tested constantly, refined through failure. On wealth and poverty, here's where Seneca becomes most controversial. He's writing about how wealth is meaningless, how the wise person needs nothing, how external goods are neutral at best, corrupting at worst, and he's doing it from a palace, while owning enough land to feed thousands, while his bank accounts rival imperial treasuries. His critics never let him forget it. Publius Suilius, during a Senate debate, attacked him publicly. By what wisdom, by what philosophical maxims, has Seneca, in the space of 4 years, acquired 300 million sesterces? In Rome, he catches the wills of the childless in his snares. He drains Italy and the provinces with his usury. Harsh, partially true, definitely embarrassing for someone teaching Stoicism. The accusation of usury particularly stung. Seneca had lent money to British tribes at high interest rates. When they couldn't pay, he allegedly called in the debts harshly, contributing to the revolt led by Queen Boudica in 60 AD. So yes, The philosopher, preaching about detachment from wealth, was actively accumulating it, aggressively, through methods that caused real suffering. Seneca's defense: he never denied it. I'm making progress toward wisdom. I'm far from finished. I do not claim to be a sage. I'm a work in progress. Judge me against my yesterday self, and you'll see improvement. Judge me against the perfect ideal, and I fall short. I know this. Here's what matters. Seneca distinguished between having money and needing it, between owning things and being owned by them. I do not condemn wealth. I condemn dependence on wealth. The wise person can be wealthy. What the wise person cannot be is enslaved to wealth. His test was simple. Could he lose it all tomorrow and be fine? He practiced this regularly, deliberately, spent periods living as if he'd lost everything, ate simple food, barley porridge, cheap bread, water, wore rough clothes instead of fine togas, slept on hard surfaces instead of his luxury beds. Then he'd return to his normal life and ask himself crucial questions. Did I miss the luxury? Did I need it? Could I function without it? Or was it just pleasant while available, disposable when not? The answer: consistently, pleasant while available, easy to live without. This is radically different from the person who needs their comfort, who can't sleep without their specific mattress, who can't function without their particular coffee prepared exactly right, who falls apart if their routine is disrupted even slightly. These people are slaves to their habits, to their preferences, to their stuff. Seneca had routines, had preferences, had comforts he enjoyed. Expensive wine, fine furniture, beautiful gardens. He didn't pretend otherwise. He just didn't need them, could abandon them instantly if circumstances required, could lose everything and maintain his composure. Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the meanest food, with rough and coarse dress, saying to yourself, "Is this the condition that I feared?" This practice had multiple purposes. First, it prepared him for actual loss, exile, disaster, the emperor's displeasure, any of which could strip him of everything overnight. He wanted to know, could I handle it? The answer needed to come from experience, from actually living it temporarily. Second, it increased his appreciation for what he had. After eating barley porridge for a week, a regular meal tasted incredible. The luxury he'd taken for granted became precious again. Gratitude replaced entitlement. Third, it revealed what he actually needed versus what he'd merely grown accustomed to. Most of our needs are just habits. We think we need things we've simply gotten used to having. Seneca tested this assumption repeatedly and found most of it was illusion. Most of what we fear in poverty isn't the reality. It's the imagination, the social shame, the loss of status, the physical discomfort we've never actually experienced. Seneca tested whether he could handle it, and found he could, easily. The reality of simple living was far less painful than the imagination of it. This gave him power, real power. Political power is nothing compared to the power of not caring whether you have political power. Wealth is nothing compared to the power of not needing wealth. He couldn't be threatened with loss of riches, couldn't be controlled through his lifestyle, couldn't be manipulated by comfort. When Nero eventually turned against him and demanded his death, Seneca gave back everything. His estates spanning multiple provinces, his fortune in gold and silver, his position at court, his influence, his future, without hesitation, without regret, without trying to negotiate or delay. He'd been practicing that moment for years, imagining it, preparing for it, testing whether he could release everything, living temporarily as if he'd already lost it all. And when the actual moment came, he was ready. The practice held. We should possess wealth like water in our hands. Held loosely, it stays. Grasped tightly, it escapes. Hold loosely, release easily. This is Seneca's challenge to our age. We live in the wealthiest society in history. Abundance everywhere, technology, comfort, convenience, options. Yet people are miserable, anxious, desperate, clinging to what they have, terrified of losing it, constantly comparing themselves to those who have more. Why? They're attached. They need their stuff, their status, their comfort, their image. Losing any of it feels like death, like identity destruction. Seneca asks, what if you practiced losing it? What if you regularly lived as if you'd lost everything? Wouldn't you find that you're fine, that you can survive, that you're more resilient than you think, that most of what you think you need is just comfortable habit? And wouldn't that free you from fear of loss, from slavery to status, from the constant anxiety of protecting what you have, from the endless comparison with those who have more? You can keep the wealth, keep the comfort, keep the lifestyle, keep the nice things. You just can't need them, can't be controlled by them, can't let them own you, can't let your identity depend on having them. That's the distinction most people miss. And it's the one that makes all the difference. The poor person who desperately wants wealth is enslaved by poverty. The rich person who desperately needs wealth is enslaved by riches. Both are slaves. The free person, they can have wealth or not have it. Either way, they're fine. Their character, their peace, their identity doesn't change based on their bank account. That's what Seneca worked toward. Did he achieve it perfectly? Probably Seneca himself would say no. He admitted struggling, failing, trying again. When Nero took everything and demanded his life, he released it all, proved through action that he meant what he'd written, that the practice was real, that detachment was possible even for someone who'd accumulated everything. That's what matters. Whether when the moment came, he could let go. He could. He did. On death and dying, Seneca spent his life preparing to die. Every essay, every letter, every philosophical reflection, all of it circled back to the same truth. Death is coming. Are you ready? You live as if you were destined to live forever. Your own frailty never occurs to you. You don't notice how much time has already gone by. You squander it as if you had a full and overflowing supply, though all the while that very day may be your last. This obsession with death wasn't morbid. It was clarifying. When you remember you'll die, the trivial falls away. The argument with a co-worker, the slight from a friend, the disappointment over some minor thing. All of it shrinks to its proper size. Seneca practiced contemplating his death daily, not in some abstract future. Today, tonight, this hour. Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day. The one who puts the finishing touches on their life each day is never short of time. He wrote these words knowing his position was precarious, knowing emperors were unpredictable, knowing court politics could turn deadly instantly, and eventually they did. In 65 AD, Nero accused Seneca of involvement in a conspiracy to assassinate him. The evidence was thin, possibly fabricated, possibly Nero just wanted Seneca's remaining wealth or feared his influence. The accusation didn't matter. The emperor's word was law. Nero sent soldiers with a message: kill yourself, today. Most people would panic, beg, try to escape, plead for mercy. Seneca asked if he could revise his will. The soldiers refused. So he turned to his wife and friends. Where are those teachings about philosophy? Where is that rational spirit you've been preparing against future evils for so many years? Who didn't know Nero's cruelty? Then he cut his veins. The old philosophical method. Death by exsanguination. It took hours. He was old. His blood flowed slowly. He dictated thoughts to scribes, consoled his wife, discussed philosophy with friends present. When blood loss finally killed him, he'd done exactly what he'd written about for decades, faced death with composure, with clarity, with the rationality he'd cultivated through years of practice. His critics might call his wealth hypocritical, but they couldn't call his death anything other than stoic. He gave back everything, his fortune, his position, his life, all of it without resistance, because he'd been practicing that release for years. Daily reminders that everything was temporary, that death could come today, that the wise person holds everything lightly. Rehearse death. To say this is to rehearse freedom. Anyone who has learned how to die has unlearned how to be a slave. This is perhaps Seneca's most powerful teaching. When you're truly prepared to die, nothing controls you. Threats lose power. Fear of loss dissolves. You become unmanageable by anyone who rules through fear. Emperors, employers, partners, anyone who tries to control you through threat. They can't touch someone who's made peace with death, who's ready to release everything if necessary. Seneca achieved that. Through decades of practice, through constant reminders, through voluntary exercises in loss. And when the final test came, he passed, gave everything back, let it all go. That's the proof of his philosophy. When everything was on the line, when all his comfort and wealth could have made him cling to life desperately, he released it with grace. The letters to Lucilius. In his final years, Seneca withdrew from court. He'd retired from public life, claiming poor health, spent his time writing. His greatest work from this period, Letters to Lucilius. 124 letters to a younger friend, offering guidance on how to live. These aren't abstract philosophical treatises. They're personal, practical, raw. Letter 1. Make yourself accountable to yourself for each day. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, aware as she is of my habit, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. Daily self-examination. Review your actions, your words, your thoughts. Did you live according to your values? Where did you fail? How can you improve tomorrow? This is Seneca's core practice. Not reading philosophy, doing philosophy, living it, testing it, adjusting based on results. Letter 7. Avoid the majority. Avoid even small groups. I have yet to find anyone who hasn't been harmed by association with the crowd. He's describing how crowds dilute character, how groupthink replaces individual judgment, how social pressure erodes personal standards. Choose your associations carefully. Spend time with people who elevate you, who challenge you to be better, who value truth over comfort. Letter 63. If you wish to be loved, love. Simple, profound. Most people wait to be loved before loving, wait for others to be vulnerable before being vulnerable, wait for trust before trusting. Seneca reverses it. Love first. Trust first. Be vulnerable first. You set the tone. Letter 70. The wise person lives as long as they should, on those terms which the gods impose. They will reflect on life, both its quality and its quantity. They will remember always that happiness depends on quality, not length. Stop counting years. Start measuring depth. Better one meaningful year than 50 empty ones. These letters are Seneca at his most honest. No pretense, no performance. Just an old man trying to help a younger friend avoid his mistakes. The tone is intimate, personal, like listening to a mentor who genuinely cares about your development. And throughout, the same themes. Time is short. Death is certain. External things are neutral. Character is everything. Practice daily. Prepare for loss. Live now. Seneca's challenge to you. So what do we do with Seneca? The wealthy Stoic, the contradictory philosopher, the man who preached simplicity from luxury, the courtier who taught wisdom. Do we dismiss him as a hypocrite, or do we recognize something harder? That living philosophy in the real world is messy, complicated, full of compromises and contradictions. Seneca never claimed perfection. He claimed effort, progress, daily practice despite daily failure. His challenge to us isn't to reject wealth or power or comfort. It's to have them without being enslaved by them, to participate in the world without being corrupted by it, to enjoy luxury while remembering it's temporary. Can you? Can you have possessions without being possessed? Can you enjoy comfort without needing it? Can you accept success without depending on it? These aren't theoretical questions. They're daily tests. Every time you check your bank account anxiously, every time you stress about status, every time you cling to comfort, you're being tested. Seneca would ask, are you practicing detachment? Are you reminding yourself that everything is temporary? Are you preparing to lose it all? Most people never practice. They just accumulate. And when loss comes, and it always comes, they're devastated. Seneca practiced constantly, lost everything twice: exile, death, gave it back without resistance. That's the proof. You can read about Stoicism. You can agree with Stoicism. You can nod along to these ideas, and none of it matters until you practice, until you test yourself, until you deliberately create discomfort to prepare for involuntary discomfort. Seneca did, for decades, and when the final test came, he was ready. Are you? Seneca died in 65 AD, ordered by an emperor he'd once tutored, forced to return everything he'd accumulated, and he did it, without protest, without clinging, without regret. His last words, reportedly, "May I not be disturbed in dying." Peace, even in death, especially in death. That's what all the philosophy was for, all the writing, all the practicing, all the daily reminders about death and loss and impermanence. It was preparation for that moment when everything would be taken, when only character would remain. And Seneca's character held. He faced death the way he'd written about facing death, with composure, with clarity, with acceptance. His wealth? Gone. His power? Gone. His influence? Gone. What remained? The letters, the essays, the ideas, the example. 2,000 years later, we're still reading his words, still learning from his contradictions, still wrestling with his questions. Can you have everything and still be free? Can you participate fully in the world without being owned by it? Can you enjoy comfort while being prepared to release it? Seneca answered yes, through decades of practice, through constant self-examination, through voluntary discomfort preparing for involuntary loss. And when the test came, he proved it, gave everything back, walked into death as he'd walked through life, holding loosely, releasing gracefully, maintaining character. That's the challenge he leaves you, whoever you are, whatever you have or don't have. Practice detachment now, before loss forces it. Practice releasing now, before death takes it. Practice dying now, before you actually die, because when the moment comes, and it will come, your practice is all you'll have. Thank you for being here, for engaging with ideas that challenge, for wanting more than comfort. Subscribe if this resonated. Share it with someone who needs to hear it and practice. The wealth doesn't matter. The success doesn't matter. The comfort doesn't matter. What matters is, when everything is taken from you, what remains? Make sure the answer is worth keeping. I'll see you in the next one.